Second test for today. I had to drop my son off, so I wasn't recording. But I will say that on the drive up here, still quite impressed with this new update. I do feel like there are differences. There might not be as uh, drastic as the changes between 12.3 and 12.5, but I would say definitely some maturity and refinement it feels like in this release. Um, what I was trying to say before and I was fumbling over my words, but it just feels like the car just kind of glides better on the roads, uh, much more easily. Like it's not like going in one direction and then making a sudden correction. Like I feel like it's just got a lot more nuance in how it's driving, maintaining lane control, taking turns. It just feels better. Even the braking, like if I'm coming up to a stoplight and I'm slowing down behind a car, I feel like that's a little bit, it's braking a little less hard and giving just a very smooth roll up to the car. So it just, that's what I mean by it seems to have these refinements to just makes it feel like a more mature driver. So far, very good. My son was asking me if I was going to do the Tesla counter idea that I mentioned, and oh, there's one right there. But no, it would be ridiculous. I mean, this is Tesla County up here. We're up here in Glen Allen, Virginia. I mean, there's another Tesla. There's just like they're everywhere. This feels like California for as many as we have. Interesting that it stayed put in that lane. Now, we started moving as soon as cars were coming behind me, and it could have been moving all along. And notice it hasn't even changed lanes. I thought it was waiting to go to change lane. So, I guess I'll question why it was stopped. Look, white Tesla, white Tesla. They're everywhere up here. I wish I could see more Cybertrucks. Uh, Gray Tesla, gray Tesla, black Model X. I mean, there's no sense in counting them. They're everywhere at this point. I feel like I see about 5% on average, probably Teslas I see compared to gas cars, and that might be closer to 10% in this area. Let me pump it up to an average profile. Chill has been working very good for me, and that might be my default profile, but let's see how much the different profiles make a difference right now. You don't have to change lanes at all. Bit of an unnecessary blinker, but that's alright. Person behind me may have thought I was about to change lanes. But see, this is what I'm talking about. As we're coming and traffic slowing down, it just feels like it's handling that much better versus kind of keeping a close distance and high speed and then slowing down at the last minute. I would say this is very close right now to how I drive on the norm in most instances, which I think is pretty incredible. This is one thing. Let's see if it makes a move, because right now, okay, they were going nearly 10 under the speed limit. There we go. This is I'm telling you, this feels good. Not quite the jump from 12.3 to 12.5, but I would say this is the most significant update since the jump from 12.36 to 12.50. Because I feel like this is really bringing the maturity and the finesse to the driving. Changing lanes into faster lane. I wonder why it thinks the right lane's the faster lane. Maybe that's a bug. Maybe they don't have changing into slower lane. It's just the one message that it puts up anytime it's changing. So I would have gotten over by now, because we're gonna have trouble getting over here soon. Thankfully, this car is hanging back. I'm curious to see what the Tesla will do. That lady's on her phone. Maybe we'll hop in front of her. Okay, so that was a hard brake. That was not good. That brake right there was not good. So it's struggling to find where to get over. Looks like we will get over nicely, but I feel sorry for the car that was behind me, because just about felt like I brake checked that car. So a few little hiccups on these drives before I post this. I don't think any of them are too major though. The big takeaway for me is that 12.54 feels much more. I'll force that right there. I'm not going to submit for that. I just disengaged there because that one lane was about to break off into two, and the car behind me had a lot of momentum, and I knew if FSD delayed any longer getting that lane, he was going to come up and make it nearly impossible to get over. So I took control of that. But again, that's minor. You know, I'm doing this, I'm testing this, I'm putting it online for a reason, to help others get a feel for what FSD can do and how it's improving. But I am probably a little bit more nitpicky than most. So even though I've had a few small issues, I still feel like 12.54 is a fantastic update. I would say this is my favorite update so far since the original 12.5 update. It just definitely feels better. Alright, so this is interesting. Who goes first? We go first. That's beautiful. Let me comment on that. So the way I don't know if there's a law that says how you're supposed to handle it, but when there's a road obstruction, you kind of have to use your better judgment. Who's closest to it, and that person should have the right of way. We were closest to it. The Tesla did what I would have done. Felt like I had the right of way, and it actually sped up to get past so that the other guy could go and then go after, and that was handled very well. By contrast, just on the way to drop my son off, I was in that exact same spot going the opposite direction, and a small school bus, one of the uh, handicap buses, yellow bus, was going this direction. And I was coming up to that same car that was in the road first, and the bus was coming up slower, but it kept going. And so I ended up like next to the car, and then and it was on full self-driving. I wish I had this on camera. And the Tesla hit its brakes. It probably could have kept moving because we didn't hit the bus and the bus didn't hit us. But I think it stopped us out of caution. But the bus assumed it had the right of way when it clearly did not. And it was squeezing by, and it made that lane really narrow. And so out of caution, the Tesla stopped, and I think that was appropriate. I don't think the Tesla did anything wrong there. But it's just interesting how in that situation with two human drivers, there was someone who was not, I would say, abiding by the right of way, and I was. And then in this new scenario, it was human versus computer, and the computer knew what to do. We had the right of way, we took it, we sped up to get by so that he could get through. Definitely, I would say, very human behavior on that particular instance. Very proud of FSD for handling that situation. Oh, and the last thing, funny story before I turn this off. This can of soda was brand new, and I was right here on the road going the opposite direction. I had just opened it, and I went to sip it, and the Tesla accelerated. And with the strong acceleration, I spilled soda all down my shirt from the inertia. It was pretty hilarious. My son got a kick out of it. So, all right, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave comments.